Good morning, traders. This is Brad Matheny. It is still very early out here in California, 4:26 in the morning. Yesterday, I pushed up a very late video indicating what I thought was going to take place today on the big breakdown. I urge you to please watch that video. It is so important, especially after we look at this huge move to the downside overnight. This is what a exhaustion breakdown pattern looks like. And it's just incredible. Come over here, take a look at the SPY cycle patterns. There's our possible exhaustion breakdown in a trending mode, clearly predicted more than 2 weeks ahead of time. Just wonderful, beautiful. I mean, I can't say it any other way. Right now, with the Nasdaq down 300 points, the S&P down 55. And the Dow Jones, we'll wait and see what happens. But long and short of it, ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute nailed it move today for me. So I'm just going to put up here, nailed it. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I cannot highlight the fact that this was just incredible. And again, I urge you to please consider that how difficult this is that I've been doing. Let's take a look at the SPY chart. Please consider that and able to accurately predict market trends. So now the SPY is trading at 559.24, way down here. Okay. And again, I suggested we may open in this area a bit lower and move downward, but we are seeing a massive breakdown today. We will likely see the SPY hold around 558, 556, maybe 557, kind of in this flagging area here. So I would suggest, this area might be more like this. And in reality, folks, we're going to see a very solid move today. I mean, I don't know how to say it any other way. This is clean. This is so clean right now. As far as predicted analysis, I woke up this morning not knowing what I was going to see, thinking that hopefully I got it right. Because I'm making predictions that are literally 10 days, 20 days in advance. And all I wanted to do was see that the advice that I gave traders that we were going to see this big breakdown day. That's this bar right here. You can see this red. I'll change the color. This dark red. That's what I predicted would happen weeks ago. Okay. And we had been below it. And I pushed up a video yesterday, please, urging people to understand what was taking place and the fact that even though price had moved below my upper expectations, we had not broken away from the cycle patterns. Everything looks really solid. Pushed the fact that we could see some biasing. So now today, this is what I drew last night, this blue line indicating where I think we would be. Now, we're going to likely open in this area, so somewhere down in this lower support area. But remember, we have to get potentially down to, and could very easily find support in this 558 area or down here in this 555 area. That's a pretty deep move. It's a pretty deep downward trend. And I would suggest, though we're at the 559.20 area right now, that, any initial deep move. So for example, get rid of that. If we open in this area, let's call it 559.5, somewhere in this area, we're likely going to see a fairly strong move down into this 557, maybe down into this 555 area. And then we're going to see some kind of a rebound and setting up what could be a move into the end of the day in this area. It's already going to be a very deep downward day. You can see this on the NQ chart, and I'll show you it in a minute. But depending on where we open, remember, we have very clear support down here at 555. And that goes all the way back to these lows and this support channel back over here, as well as my Fibonacci level. So in reality, folks, a move, whoops, don't want draw. Reality is a move down into this 555, 554 deeper low, maybe, and again, this is a very big maybe down into this 551 area as extreme deep support near the 618 Fibonacci level could potentially be in store today. So be aware. But this big correction down into support here will likely, very likely, try to find support in this area today, setting up for the big inverse rally going into tomorrow, which is going to be just wild. If I called this literally, if I called this weeks in advance so clearly on a big move like this, a big down bar and a big up bar, if I'm able to do this accurately, think about the potential going forward over the next couple of years. And really, these patterns, that's why I think they're so amazing. They're not 100% accurate. You're going to find times when they don't work. I promise you, there's going to come a time when you think to yourself, wow, Brad's been perfect for a month or 2 months or 4 months, whatever it is. And then there'll be a week or a week and a half where it just seems like, it doesn't really align very well. But that's part of this technology. It's a matter of learning as we go and adapting some of these patterns as we go. And that's what I do. I built all of this technology to be based on GAN and Fibonacci research to be able to identify what is coming now and in the near future. And these are daily bars. Theoretically, I could build it for, 5-minute or intraday bars as well. It takes a lot of work, months worth of work to build a new model. But long and short of it, these are just so powerful right now that it's incredible. So let's go take a look at the QQQs. I'm going to urge you guys to watch yesterday's video. Okay, QQQs, lines everywhere. And this was the chart from yesterday. This was a chart that I drew trying to highlight how, this was my predicted bar area up here, what I thought was going to happen. But this is really me estimating the patterns and where price may be. So what we really need to look at this, even though I may be off on the price level, we need to look at the actual rotation of price and how it's going to work. So now we're down here at the 488. Look at this. QQQ is all the way down here, 488. It's down 1.6%. That's a massive collapse in terms of size. Average size for a day is typically going to be between, say, 3/4 and say 1 or 1.25%, typical average size. And normally, when we get above 1 or 1.25%, I start to consider that a big bar. When we get above, say, 1.5%, that's a very big bar. When we get above 2%, that's an extremely big bar. We don't get 2%, 2.25% moves very often. So we're looking at a pretty big shifting in capital down here. And where would we be going to try to find support? You can already see we're below this longer term or intermediate term support. We have very long term support down here in the 480 area. And we have this congestion range or rejection range right here in the 484, 485 area. So given where we're at 488, if you were smart enough to pick up a couple of puts based on this pattern yesterday and ride out whatever pain you had, you're going to see a very healthy profit this morning. But I'm going to urge you again that I think we're going to try to find support in this area, in the 485, 484 area. This is already a very substantial downward move. So I don't expect it to continue all the way down here and turn into a -3 or -5% day. That's really unrealistic. We're looking for this level to hold. And if this level can't hold, yeah, we're going to move back down here into long-term support. This is our long-term, long intermediate term support level. But in reality, folks, we're going to be looking for this 44, 45 area on the QQQs to hold. And then we're going to be looking tomorrow for a potential move back to the upside, maybe back up into the 494, 495 area tomorrow. And then we consolidate. And then we move into our real consolidation phase probably, like I'm showing you here on this chart, probably into this kind of a sideways range before we actually break out here and try to move to the upside. Okay, so beautiful move today. Really, absolutely beautiful. Someone asked about the IWM this morning. Well, IWM is pulling that breakaway trend. So, and we're not seeing it here. That's the same thing that I was telling you guys about. Very similar. This is the undervalued, the Russell 2000. I've been mentioning this for more than 2 months, that you need to pay attention to the fact that these ignored, undervalued sectors are really going to break out. I mean, really going to break out. And now understand that this is a massive breakout. This is a big capital resurgence back into this index. Looks very similar to the RSP and what we've seen in the equal weight and undervalued and ignored sectors. So do not expect a pullback here. This is still very solid. You're seeing a lot of capital move into these ignored, undervalued sectors, and it's probably going to stay that way for a little bit. Okay, we'll see how it plays out long term, but certainly this is not the tech heavy NASDAQ, or this is not the SPY. This is the Russell 2000. These are undervalued and ignored sectors and symbols that are now seeing a resurgence in capital appreciation, meaning capital is being flooded into these markets, these symbols, looking for the next big move. Now, remember, we've already had, how big is this move? This is already an 11% move to the upside. It's going to go, it's going to continue probably going all the way into 2025, maybe into 2026. But you've got to understand that this is a big resurgence. Look at this going all the way back. This is daily. And we don't get these types of moves unless there's some big catalyst. Here's the election catalyst, and it went up what? IWM went up from roughly the election here 46%. So we could see a move here, as I had been warning everybody, maybe up into this area, 260, 265, maybe. So IWM is not going to react like the NASDAQ or the SPY right now. Just not going to happen. This is one of those symbols that is basically capital is surging into this, seeking safety and security away from the NASDAQ and the SPY. Okay, guys, I'm going to keep it fairly short today. Please remember to take a look at my videos. So when you come back over here to TradingView, take a look at my videos. I love the comments. I love the expectations. This was the video I pushed up yesterday. This was the video I did a couple of videos yesterday. But I want you to pay attention to what I've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 days. It is so important for you to understand how these patterns play out and what they are, and the fact that they're not 100% accurate. So even though you might be looking at this thinking, wow, this guy is incredible. Look, we're going to get into a point where the patterns don't align very well. And you need to be aware of that as we go forward. This is not 100% bulletproof. This is the best of my ability, the most accurate system I've ever seen in the world, being able to predict things 4, 5, 6 days in advance or longer. But it does get into periods where it is not as accurate as we have been seeing here recently. So let's see how this plays out. Going to be a very exciting day. I'm expecting a lot of comments. And remember, I am taking care of my father today, so I will be in and out of away from my PC for a couple of hours. All right, guys. Talk to you later.